let's speak to our viewers connected. Mr. R.P. Singh from Jalandhar is on the phone line with me. Mr. Singh, good evening. Thank you so much for sending us your question, sir. How are
Good
you doing
afternoon,
today?
madam. Thank you. I'm fine, ma'am.
All right, so Mr. Singh, okay, so you have given your fund details. Thank you so much for that. Anything else that you want to add in your particular question?
Ma'am, I would like to ask, should I review my portfolio, keeping in mind that the market is range bound or there may not be return in uh, the small cap indexes? And this price of funds by me is okay? I had done this by mostly watching your program on ET Now and ET Now in Hindi, your finance minister.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Singh. Thank you so much. Okay, so you want to additionally invest 2 lakhs rupees as lump sum. Is that also
Yeah, ma'am.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. 7 to 10 years, you want the target is 50 lakhs from this particular
Yeah, yeah,
portfolio, and
yeah,
rest you have
yeah.
mentioned that you are covered for emergency retirement and no family liability. All right. So you have direction for this portfolio, which is 50 lakhs in 7 to 8 years, 7 to 10 years. Okay. So Anil, what would you recommend?
Yes. So for investing into 50 lakhs over this period of time, um, uh, 1 minute. So you can do a combination of various fund categories, right from large cap, to large and mid cap, and then also small cap out there. Okay, and I think that combination is what possibly will help achieve your goals out there. And so if you go back and say, okay, what are the funds that maybe one can look at for making this type of investment? Of course, if you're doing a lump sum, then I would rather suggest we do it a little bit through the systematic transfer route. Okay, and possibly a combination of, let's say, a Nippon India large cap fund, an ICICI, a large and mid cap, maybe an ICICI Pru, say a multi cap, and possibly a HDFC balance advantage. This is also keeping in mind the fact that he also wants to look at managing risk a little bit. Okay, and so managing that risk, keeping in mind the current market view. The market is high, definitely, and possibly in the medium to long term there is more to go. But you could see periods of, let's say, volatility, and that is where you do a combination of various things.
Mr. Singh, is there anything else you want to ask Anil?
Madam, I would like to have a look at my current holdings. Is it okay, or should I change
Yeah.
some
So the
mutual
current
fund to
allocation
someone?
looks fine. Anil, any change in the current allocation and current funds in the portfolio?
I think the current allocation in this portfolio, I think, is reasonably good. Here, the combination of small caps, large and mid caps. He also does have, some bit of the equity savings funds. Okay, so I think, a combination of them is definitely something that he could continue with. Okay, and for the additional investment, then that's something that. It's,
All right. All the best, Mr. Singh. Let's move on and let's take Siddharth's question. Okay, so he had received 50 lakhs as his share from the ancestral property after division, and with this 50 lakhs, he can't buy a decent house, so he wants to buy a house after 5 to 7 years during the marriage of his son. So he wants to invest for that particular purpose, and he wants to invest this particular money for 5 to 7 years, and for that he wants you to recommend 3 to 4 mutual fund schemes. It is just 50 lakhs, and over and above there is no other SIP or investment happening. Just distribution of this 50 lakh rupees in mutual funds is what is his question. Anil.
Yeah, so again, I think, like I was saying, earlier as well, it's good to do, an STP at a time like this when you're doing a lump sum, and that again, depending on the risk appetite, sort of doing a combination of, let's say, a large cap fund, maybe a multi cap, large and mid cap probably, and balanced advantage. And if so, added, I think I did discuss on, let's say, the Nippon India large cap fund, the ICICI Pru large and mid cap, and ICICI Pru multi cap as well as HDFC balanced advantage. And if he's willing to take a little bit of additional risk, right, then he can go back and add in some of the, a mid cap fund, okay, and potentially also go back and add in, let's say, some of the small cap funds. But then, the holding period sort of goes up. One would suggest if you're looking at above 5 years, right, then he can actually go back and look at some of the funds, which are in the mid and small cap side.
So Siddharth also says, Anil, that he has an existing mutual fund portfolio. We really don't have any details on that, but the kind of funds you're going to recommend are what for him?
Yes, so one would like say across categories, do a large cap like Nippon India large cap. Okay, maybe do you can also look at, let's say, a value discovery. ICICI Pru Value Discovery as one of the value funds. He can do also maybe an ICICI Pru TCAP fund. Okay, so in that category, and HDFC Balanced Advantage Fund is something he can look at, and maybe also like of course now you have some of the small cap funds which are closed, but he can do a HDFC mid cap type of fund as well. If and maybe break it up across say 4 to 5 funds out there.
All right. So the strategy is to do an STP, and for that you need to park in money in the Nippon India Ultra Short-Term Duration Fund,
Correct.
1 lakh rupees, because that's going to go in Nippon India Large Cap. ICICI Pru Ultra Short, 50,000 over there, and
Correct.
HDFC Ultra Short, and from there the money will go in ICICI Pru Large and Mid Cap, ICICI Pru Multi Cap, and HDFC Balance Advantage Fund. Very important for investors to know the way also to do the right kind of STP. Anil, let's move on to Annie's question, and she says that she wants to save money for short-term goals, and well, she also has long-term goals for her financial portfolio, but so far she is interested to fulfill her short-term goals like house renovation and travel plans. And she wants equity heavy mutual fund portfolio, small and mid cap oriented funds for short term goals. Would they be better? Is what is her question. And if you can also recommend some kind of, although we don't know the short term duration or short term time horizon is 1 year or 3 years for her, but I'm assuming it's at least 3 years minimum. And that will be the case if she wants to invest in a hybrid category or maybe a pure fixed income category. What would you suggest?
Maybe I can give her a few ground rules that she can follow. So if anything is short term and less than 1 year, actually you should be looking at just pure day, right? So maybe an ultra short term fund is something you can do, or even a liquid fund, is something that one can do for, let's say, periods which are less than 1 year. If it's really short, then even a liquid fund. So that is maybe one thing that one can do. If it goes to, let's say, 1 to 2 years, then to this you can go back and add maybe equity savings funds, which will have 20, 25% type of equity exposure out there within the as a balance fund, right? If it goes to 2 to 3 years, then yes, you can open up a lot more opportunities. Okay, you can add the balanced advantage fund, I think, which is a good way to look at planning for slightly medium term type of liquidity. And if, let's say, 3 to 4 years, you can probably do both aggressive hybrids as well as say large cap funds. Now, now what can one can do is maybe if you have the overall corpus toward liquidity, you can layer it. You can keep something for, let's say, the short term and try and identify which needs. And part of it you can also do maybe equity, but that is something that you keep for, you're definitely sure that, let's say, at least 3 to 4 years, time frame you have, then you can go back into equity, start off with large cap, and if you are able to cross 4 5 years, then you can loosen up your belts and even look at say mid caps and stuff.
All right. Let's move on. Let's take Kirtan's question. And he says that he's planning to invest for his retirement. Time horizon is 15 years for that. High risk investor. And So the portfolio that he wants your take on, he has Parag Parekh Flexi Cap, Quant Flexi Cap, Motilal Oswal Nifty 500 Momentum, UTI Nifty 500 Value 50 Index, or ICICI Pru Value Discovery, ICICI Pru Nasdaq 100. He's not invested in these funds, but that's his selection, and. Yeah, he plans to start a monthly SIP of 1 lakh, increasing by 10% annually. And 20,000 will be equally divided across the 5 funds that he's done homework on. Anil.
Yes, so I think a few funds I would like to just review, and those are maybe ones which are slightly more momentum oriented. The second one is Nasdaq that he suggested. I would think that Nasdaq has already moved up. If you're a slightly medium to long term investor, then you would rather use something which is slightly more broad based, and you're able to capture something at a sort of lower valuation. So I would keep these out at this point of time, and broadly, so what is the portfolio I would suggest is, of course, Parag Parekh is something that which he suggested one can do. ICICI Pru Value Discovery is also something that I think it's a good idea to do. To that, you can add maybe Nippon India Large Cap Fund, which one can look at. One can on the small cap side and multi cap side. Maybe ICICI Pru Multi Cap is something that one can add on. The multi cap funds and small cap can be the Nippon India Small Cap Fund.
All right, Anil, I think that's all. That's the time we have on the show. Thank you so much for taking time out and answering all the viewer queries. And for the viewers, we are going to leave you with our WhatsApp number and email ID where you can send across all your questions, and we will do your live financial planning on the show. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits, and then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.